what it was. Y'all know who it is, and you tuned in with Priceless Knowledge yourself, and I figured I'd put y'all down with even more cosmic insight for today. And say, man, we're gonna get back into these moon signs, and in doing so, I'm gonna let you know right now that shit's finna get deep, cause this right here, this a little something about those people that have the moon in Scorpio in their natal chart. And before I even go to that level, you already know what I gotta do first, y'all. I'm gonna bring y'all a little bit about the moon in astrology, and also give a quick breakdown about the sign of Scorpio in astrology. So, with that being said, I guess it ain't nothing else left to do but get it cracking, right? So, what's the moon? The moon is the closest celestial body in relation to Earth in the whole entire solar system. And with that being said, it has the strongest effect on our moods and personality on a day-to-day basis. You know, the moon rules the 4th house of the zodiac as well as the sign of Cancer. In Vedic astrology, they say it's about the mind, but I really feel like it's all about how you feel and how you see you. It represents our instinctive awareness, our emotional nature. It can represent the relationship we have with our mother or the lack thereof. It's all about how we feel. It could be about how you think too, but it's all about how you see you. It's all about who you are before you get a chance to put your mask on, which that's kind of what the rising sign is. And so the rising sign is how other people see you. The sun is kind of where you want to get or who you are as a whole, but the moon is about who you see, how you see you, excuse me. And not everybody gonna get to see your moon sign. You know, your moon sign is kind of something sacred. It's only for those you're most comfortable with. And, you know, unfortunately for some, they never get that comfortable with anybody. So nobody gets to see that inner light that they have. And sometimes that happens, especially with people that have their moon placed here, but we'll get to that in a minute. You know, the moon is all about your internal emotions. It's how you internalize things. It's all about your inherent nature. And so, what is the sign of Scorpio? Scorpio is the 8th sign of the zodiac. It rules the 8th house. It's ruled by both Pluto and Mars to a lesser degree. It rules over both the genitals and the bowels. And its mantra for me is definitely, I transform. So y'all, Scorpio sign is really all about beginnings and endings. And it's quite unafraid of either one, to be frank. It travels in a world of black and white, and it doesn't have much use for the gray areas. Scorpio curiosity is absolutely immeasurable. And it's ineptly investigative. It likes to probe and get to the very bottom of shit. And with Pluto's influence being instigated by Martian action and the keen intuition that kind of comes along with it, it's really going to add to that dynamic, and it's going to be to wherever it needs to go. This is very forceful, stubborn energy. It's deep and dark. It's kind of involved with the sexual, the things of depth and death, and even rebirth. You know, Scorpio is all about transformation and even power and domination, or maybe even taking somebody else's power. So, what happens when you're born with your moon in Scorpio in your natal chart? When I think of these particular people, man, I think of thunderstorms at 3 o'clock in the morning. These people come off as extremely perceptive, powerful, and transformative. With this being fixed water, when they align their emotions with something they desire, whether that be a friend, lover, or desired outcome of some situation, they're going to be constant, enduring, and unwilling to let go. It's just kind of obsessive energy. And when it's in their emotions, you know, they can be obsessive emotionally. They can obsess over their own emotions. They might obsess over your emotions. These people are extremely psychic, intuitive, and empathic. And for Moon and Scorpio people, their sense of emotional well-being comes from having close and truthful connections with others, which allow them to explore life's depths. And, you know, depending on other placements and influences in their chart, they're probably very passionate people with their calm surface and a storm brewing underneath. You know, and when I said about truthful connections, let me tell you right off the rip from Jump Street, that these people, they are lie detectors emotionally. they're going to know something's off with you if you come up on some fake shit. If you're coming up on false pretenses, they're going to sense it. Their intuition is out of this world. Matter of fact, it doesn't come from in this world. It might even come from under this world. These people have this inherent understanding of the occult and sexual things and things that are of death. And, they're not really afraid of it. Matter of fact, they're intrigued by it. The intimacy that these people seek is soul merging. And they demand complete loyalty in return. Like, they're going to be that loyal to you, but they expect it back. And with the moon here, they're going to be emotionally tied to it. You feel me? Scorpio is not an easy place for the moon to be. I'm going to tell you right off the rip. As a matter of fact, it's considered to be in its fall here, which suggests that certain challenges come around these people being able to adequately express their feelings, which itself is caused by the fact that the mere intensity of their own feelings is usually overwhelming to them and terrifying to other people. There is no more of an intense feeler here. Does that mean they're always going to express it? No. And the thing is, I almost dropped my ashtray, y'all. When they do express it, it could be scary and it could be violent because it's coming from somewhere that most people don't understand. Moon and Scorpio people, I say they probably grew up in maybe a militant household even. They had a very controlling or dominant parent in one way or the other. With one parent, and it was probably their mom, who was pretty dominant and controlling entity in the home. Although they were probably definitely felt, fears and emotions probably weren't expressed openly in these people's household. And their religion, it was probably strictly ingrained into their set of values. Because don't get it twisted, these people are spiritual people. And the upbringing they had and the relationship they had with their mom probably has a lot to do with it. Early on in life, Scorpio moons may find themselves swinging between extremes, with shit probably being a proverbial emotional roller coaster more oftentimes than not. Because they do acutely feel every dimension of life. For those that had this placement, it would really do them a good job to try not to collapse into their own emotions and dip out into the darkness all the time, or even act on every super intense emotion that they have, because this can get really dangerous and volatile when you're fooling with them. As I always tell you, there's people that are lovers, there are people that are fighters, and there are people that are killers. Deep inside, these people might be killers. They might be lovers, and they might be fighters with Mars influence. With Pluto there, though, these are killers. And does that mean they're mass murderers? No. That means that their emotions aren't to be played with. And we talked about this a little bit when we talked about Venus and Scorpio. But this is even more so, because Venus is a little superficial. The moon is all the way up in there. Okay? These natives need a lot of time to themselves. A lot of time to themselves. So they can sort out what the fuck is going on with them internally. Because once they allow themselves this time for introspection, to plumb their own emotional depths, these people will be able to achieve an amazing sense of self-awareness that nobody else probably can. And it might come from being on their own head and being extremely self-critical. But at the same time, who doesn't need that? They're going to be able to look themselves in the mirror and see where they're fucked up at. And when they come up out the bathroom, it's going to be a whole different transformation coming up out of there. They're going to always be transforming emotionally. You know what I mean? So it might be a little difficult to hold them down. Those with their moon in Scorpio, they gain great insight into themselves and others by developing true sensitivity to the complexity of emotional needs. It's like as though they begin to understand the depth of their own emotional nature, because they also learn to recognize that of others through plumbing through their own shit. You know what I mean? By going off by themselves and figuring out who they are deep in their darkest places, it helps them understand others and the other people's motivations, which also fuels this human lie detector that they kind of are. Don't lie to them. Because In the easiest form, they'll never fool with you again. You know what I mean? And they'll never trust you, and they'll always be looking at you with that smirk on their face like you ain't shit. And in the worst form, if you play with their emotions, you might not live to see the next day. Or it might even not be the next day with Scorpio, because they might come way later on. You done forgot about it, moved on with your life. Pluto didn't. So, I also want to say that Scorpio is the sign of privacy. When I'm talking about how much time these people need by themselves. And acting accordingly, these people are always going to prefer to keep their cards close to their chest emotionally. They are extremely protective of their emotional power and sensitivity. And they rarely share how they truly feel with anybody. They kind of prefer to let people assume how they feel. For you to get them to really openly, verbally express how they feel about something, that's like pulling teeth, man. And it's close to impossible. But you're going to know they feel. Because of this water there, it's going to be apparent. You're going to feel the intensity of the emotions they have boiling under the surface with these people. It might make you uneasy to feel the emotional depth that they have. Because it's not something you can miss. I want to add that when we're talking about Scorpio, these people probably have a very intense sexual magnetism that makes you feel as if like you need to merge with them, or it might destroy you if you don't. You know what I mean? And they're aware of this. And sometimes it might lead them to be very manipulative. And sometimes it might lead them to repress this because they feel like it's something wrong, depending how they were grown up, especially if they grew up in this very militant or religiously strict household. And in repressing it, there's going to be times where they might act out. But there's no more sexual energy than this. It's ingrained in their inner being. You know what I mean? Man, this is the sexiest there is when we're talking about the moon. And I want to also add that they are extremely powerful with an emotional understanding that is rivaled by nobody else. But sometimes they can get lost in the darkness. And if you know a Moon and Scorpio person, hey man, hit them up and let them know you care. Even if they growl at you in return or hang up on you or whatever it is they do, man, just let them know you care. But even further than that, words might not do with these people. You're going to have to show them through consistency. You know what I mean? Through consistency. And even then, it's hard. Last, like I said, they feel intensely. And playing with their feelings might be to your detriment. If they don't kill you, they're going to be long gone forever if you betray their trust. But when I'm talking to y'all, Moon and Scorpio people, man, y'all got to trust somebody. You got to open up to somebody before it kills you. That darkness you have inside, you know what I mean? I know it's scary. And I know that you feel like nobody will understand it or be able to help you with it. But you don't know unless you try, man. You have to do something to get that darkness up out of you, man. It's okay to be familiar with it. It's okay to understand darkness. But you don't have to live with it or live by it. Remember, just because you built like that, don't mean you have to build like that, man. Hey, there's been some priceless knowledge yourself. I appreciate all the love and support and encouragement, man. If you're fruiting with me, please like, share, and subscribe, man. Help me help y'all. Hit that like button. Go join my Facebook group, Priceless Knowledge Yourself. Hey, man. Just because you build like that, you ain't got to build like that. Hey, if you're interested in astrological readings, please either hit me up in the comments below or email me at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And as I always leave y'all with, man, keep it all the way. Trio.